My death is not a surrender. My death as a member of the third gender and transgender population does not mean you won. It solely marks the end of our association. You are not the land of the free. You are not a country getting made great again. Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna Deshawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. Also, family, don't forget the Queer News tip line is always open. Send in your story ideas you think I should cover, people, places, things. I love when you send those in because often I have not heard the story and I want to share more. So please send in a Queer News tip. Information is in the show notes. Family, for our top news story today, last week we remembered Sam and Tahiri, two trans siblings of color who were tragically killed. I have an update on Sam's investigation. New York State is charging 5 people, right, involved with second-degree murder. Second-degree murder is interesting. It feels like it should be first, but I'm no legal expert, okay? But what I do know is that they're reporting that this will not be charged as a hate crime because they knew Sam and the people involved identify as LGBTQ. Now, what I want to tell these officials is that self-hate is real, internalized homophobia is very real, and this could still be a hate crime even when it's committed against somebody who's in your own community. Family, this story is just so dark. The more that comes out about the torture that Sam experienced, and that is something that I just can never understand or relate to, that there's this darkness that lives within some people that would allow them to treat another human being the way that they treated Sam. Elisa Rae Shupe, we speak your name today. In 2016, Elisa fought the US government, won a huge victory, and became the first person ever to receive legal recognition of the non-binary gender marker. She was the very first. She fought, she won, and she was attacked. She decided to actually detransition in 2019. Then she became a pawn of the anti-trans hate machine. Then in 2022, she reclaimed her identity later and published a blog telling her story and fighting back against conversion therapy. She looked to repair the harm she caused. She leaked over 2,600 pages of emails between her and leaders of the anti-trans movement. Well, on June 27th, she took her own life in the VA parking lot. Upon her death, she sent a scheduled letter to news outlets in hopes they would actually publish it. None of them, hear me, none of them published it. So we will. We will publish it, and I'm going to read it in its entirety today. Fuck you, America. I don't want your hatred. I don't want the military decorations and medals you awarded me. I don't want your pension money for my distinguished military service and service-connected disabilities. I don't want your health care to treat the mental illness you caused. I don't want more psychiatric ward commitments to keep me alive in a nation that I despise. I don't want to be buried in any of your state or national cemeteries for veterans and military retirees. I don't want to be buried anywhere on American soil. I don't want any military honors or ceremonies to mark my death. I don't want any ashes to be stored on American soil. I want my ashes or remains to be spread or buried in international waters. I don't want your flag anywhere near my body, remains, or ashes. I don't want any members of my family other than my spouse to be on the vessel that disposes of my ashes or remains. My death is not a surrender. My death as a member of the third gender and transgender population does not mean you won. It solely marks the end of our association. You are not the land of the free. You are not a country getting made great again. Too much demonstrated hatred throughout your existence extinguishes any claim to previous greatness. You are a cesspool of zealots that worship a God that does not and has not ever existed. Enjoy your new royal family and third world dictator. I refuse to participate any further. Have that Nazi piece of shit, Elon Musk, and his Doge henchmen deduct the savings from my $93,000 of federal pensions from your bankrupt coffers. The white man disseminated and massacred the indigenous populations of the third gender on the lands now called America. It was only fitting that a white person restored it. You cannot erase non-binary and transgender people because you give birth to more each day. Elisa, thank you. Thank you. And I hope you have found some peace that you could not find on this plane. For our last story in politics, I'm sending love and support to Maine's Governor Janet Mills, okay? Last Friday, Voldemort held a bipartisan White House event as part of the National Governors Association's Winter Summit. I watched the video exchange, okay? And essentially what was happening, Voldemort was standing at a podium, okay, in front of all of the governors, going on and on about men shouldn't be able to play in women's sports, just being the normal transphobic person that he is. Then he goes on that he hears that Maine still hasn't changed any of their policies, and he asks if Maine is in the room. She says, yeah, I'm here. Then Voldemort begins threatening to strip all of their federal funding if they choose not to adhere to his executive orders. She stands up and says, we are going to follow state and federal law. Voldemort says, I am federal law. Now, if anybody who studies politics or knows government knows, he is not the federal law. We're supposed to have checks and balances. There's a Congress, there's Senate, there's a Supreme Court, there's the president. Like, you are not, as a human being, federal law. But this is what 77 million Americans voted for. And so here we are. And she continues to say, we will follow state and federal law, and I'll see you in court. Yes, she did. She stood up to him in his face in the White House. Now, I'm sure she was not expecting that. I'm also sure she may not have been ready for it, but she made herself ready for the moment, okay? She did not back down. She stood firm right there in that room with some of the most powerful people in this country and said, I'll see you in court, right to his face. Thank you, Governor Mills and family. If you live in Maine, you need to be calling her office and showing all types of support, okay? Because she's going to need it. Now, let's jump into some culture and entertainment. We actually got a story in from our tip line, so I want to show some love to Vicky today. Thanks, Vicky, for the tip. Family, in our next story, I am so incredibly proud of Raquel Willis. You understand? She is the award-winning journalist, activist, and author who proclaims she is a proud Southern, Black, trans, queer woman from Augusta, Georgia. Okay, yes, she does. And she was just named one of Time's Women of the Year. Her work, her activism, it's second to none. She refuses, okay? She refuses to give in. Yes. And she continues to be a leader every step of the way, even when it is incredibly, incredibly unpopular. That is the person Raquel is. She says the riskiest thing she's done so far is choose to live authentically. She goes on to say our society is not primed to honor queerness or transness. During an ABC News Live interview about the honor, she reminds trans folks that no one can steal your power. She encourages everyone to lean into the fight, to find community if you don't have it, to learn about your history and know that you've already existed. Congratulations, Raquel, truly, and thank you for all the work that you do. And family, if you want to learn more about Raquel, I had the opportunity to actually be in conversation with her, and I've linked that interview in the show notes, and feel free to dig right in. Now, family, in Unrivaled news, the Rose, which is home to Chicago Sky very own Angel Reese, served the Luna Owls their first loss of the season. Angel made history, clocking the first 20-point, 20-rebound game in Unrivaled history with 22 points and 21 rebounds. Angel said, you know, I got to make history. Being able to see my growth, I put in the work, and a lot of people don't see what I put in. It's great to see the results out there, but obviously I'm not done yet. I saw a clip online during the press conference where Angel became emotional when asked what it means for her to be the quote unquote it girl of basketball right now, right? For the next generation. She got emotional and reminded us that it's not easy being 22 and living the life that she's living, but that she's up for it. And I was like, you better tell him, Angel, you are up for it. You was built for this moment, truly. And the more I see her, the more I really appreciate who she is in the world. And I'm so glad she's a part of the Chicago Sky. And I can't wait to see her play because I can already tell she's improved, okay? 150%. Now, as far as Unrivaled is concerned, we're just under a month from the playoffs, okay? The playoffs will begin on March 16th. Only the top 4 teams are going to make it to the playoffs, and it is going to be tight. Teams like the Mist, okay? I'm a misfit, yes. And the Phantom have seemed to find their groove. Yes, they've been clocking up some wins, but all of these teams are good. I mean, this is the hard part with Unrivaled. All these teams could beat each other at any given moment. So it's going to be very interesting to see the final 4 teams that end up in the playoffs. The winners will be decided by a combination of media, Unrivaled coaches and players, and a fan vote. And so, family, you can start voting for the MVP right now. You get to vote for the top 3, okay? I did mine. You should do yours. Yes, the voting will close on March 11th at 3 p.m. Eastern. All right. If you want to vote, a link is where? In the show notes. All right, family, you know it's time for Anna's Got a Word because Anna's always got a word. And as we head into the last week of Black History Month, I want to leave you all with a word from Angel Ellis. She is absolutely one of my favorite actors. And it's not just because she's a Black queer woman. No, she is absolutely brilliant. And this past week, she was accepting the award for excellence in the arts from the American Black Film Festival. And during her speech, she evoked the spirit of Shirley Chisholm. Yeah, the quote that Shirley Chisholm gave, where she says, "If you don't give me a seat at the table, I'll bring a folding chair." Yes, and I personally love this quote. And I love it so much that I actually use it in my pitches for our startup, The Cube. And I use it as a way to bring people in that we don't want a seat at the table. We actually want to build our own tables. And if you want to join us, you're invited as we close out Black History Month, because I think it is a reminder to all of us, yes, that we can build our own, that we don't have to wait on anybody, that no matter what the federal government is doing, no matter what the state may say about you and who you are and who you love, you still have the ability to build your own table, to sit wherever you want to sit, and we will continue to be great. Yes, I hope that's what you hear. Thank you, Angel Ellis, and family. Thank y'all for listening. Please be inspired by her words, and I really do hope that it helps you get through the week ahead, because we don't know what's happening tomorrow, okay? But hopefully this can stick with you for a little bit. Till next week, family. Peace.